Alright, so let's try to solve the task that I gave you first. So we are going to now check for bullet, right? Just like we did the player, we're going to look for bullet. Now things gets really interesting, because you'll see we cannot do it. What should go wrong here? Let's try to see if it actually works. It doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? First of all, it doesn't collide with the asteroid. Second of all, it doesn't destroy the asteroid. Okay, so let's solve the first one. It doesn't collide with the asteroid because none of the, neither the asteroid nor the bullet, not the bullet, has any rigid body, right? So what should we do? We could add a rigid body to the bullet, right? So let's add a rigid body 2D to the bullet and make the gravity scale to 0. Now we should solve the first problem. The first problem should be now solved. The bullet should now collide with the asteroid, and it's all so weird. What is the next problem? The next problem was that well, our bullet doesn't destroy the asteroid, right? So let's see what's going on. So if I spawn a bullet, you can see the name of the bullet is small bullet, small single bullet clone. The name of the bullet is not bullet, right? And even if we do this, that does, that will work, but it's not a good idea to do it. It doesn't look good, right? So if I just play this game, let's see. Yeah, so it's actually working, but it doesn't look good, and it is not a good practice to do it, because you might change the name of this thing later on. Say I don't want to make the name bullet, right? So I want to change the name with something. I just want to make it a just bullet, not single bullet or whatever. So in those cases, you might have to do the code again. So that is why we use something called tag, right? So if we look into our screen here, every game object has a tag. If I look into the player should have a tag. If I look into, for example, the asteroid also has a tag. So we are going to apply tag to each of these objects so we can detect them from the tag. So let's start with our player. Click on the player, click on the tag, and you can see there is already a tag called player. So select that one, save it. Now go back to our script and let's fix this one first. Rather than saying name, we are going to say tag. Okay, there is an error, warning. It's saying that should not use equal, should use compare tag. So we can do that just in a bit, but let's see if it's working now. If everything is working, yep, it works. That's good. Next we need to add a new tag for our asteroid. So you can click on add tag, and then we can add, first of all, asteroid, and also we can add a tag for bullet. We need to go to each of this asteroid prefab, and apply this tag, and for our bullet we need to apply the tag of bullet. Now if we go back in here, we can say that if the tag is bullet, right? The tag is bullet, we can destroy the game object. And if I play, it should work. Yeah, Now we have another problem. The bullet is, when you're spawning the bullet, it's now acting weird because the bullet and the player, they are now also colliding with each other. So we can fix this in many different ways. I'm going to show you both way. Okay, first of all, we could do something like this. We could go to edit, project settings, and there is option called physics 2D, and you can see there is this layer collision matrix. So this basically means that default and UI, they should collide with each other. That's why this is tick marked. Water and, for example, ignore raycast, they should not, because there is no tick mark in here. So what we need to do, if we for example have a layer for our player, let's create a new layer, and another one should be maybe bullet. So in the layer we can assign our player layer as a player, and our bullet should be bullet, right? And now if I go back to that settings again, you can see now we have two more. We have a bullet, and we have a play var. That's player. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah. So player should not collide with bullet, so we should basically get rid of this part. So in here, rather than putting a tick mark, I am going to uncheck this. So that means player and bullet, they should not collide with each other. Okay, so now save, play the game. Now you can see it's working, but there is another problem. You can see when I try to spawn multiple bullet at a time, they are colliding with each other, right? Although it's really like really fun and good effect, but maybe we should like take care of that as well. So one thing that we could do is basically um, when we spawn the bullet, we can add some offset, right? So it doesn't spawn on top of the player itself. But yeah, for now we can keep it in this manner because it's not harming us that much. What we could do instead is that simply uh, we could do this. We could go to the bullet. Just go to the bullet. Rather than putting this whole collision this big, we can just do something like this, the top, right? Okay, much better. Awesome. So yeah, save your script, and then in the next tutorial we are going to talk more about how we can basically manage this spawning thing. Remember, we talked about that if we have say 10 different asteroid, we cannot create 10 different variable and do this, right? This is insane. We have to do a lot of work if we keep doing things in this manner. So we need to manage this data in a more efficient way, so that all these asteroids, they should like they should be stored in one single variable. So we're going to talk about that in the next lecture.